For those of you who don't know, Default is a revenue orchestration platform, and we're about to launch a new product focused on building data infrastructure for running go-to-market agents. Just a quick sneak peek, we launch in a week. So I joined Default about 6 months ago on a really specific premise that go-to-market should be run like an engineering team. I was brought on to treat outbound like a product and build on go-to-market problems from an engineering perspective. In practice, my manager Lev acts like my PM, and then I'm sort of like the engineer that does stuff with Cloud Code. So when I was brought on, we talked about building out this big data infrastructure for the go-to-market team. We talked about like 6 to 12-month timelines. We talked about having a team of engineers doing this. But at that point of time, we didn't know that we would have something called Cloud Code. With Claude, what we were supposed to do in 6 to 12 months took us sort of like a month and no engineers. So the philosophy behind our project was that sales needs a systematized way of organizing outreach. The signals that tell you that an account is in market, like hiring patterns, funding, M&A, they're all very commoditized and easily available, but they exist in isolation. Without a way to unify them at scale, reps on our sales team would fall back to manual research or going off of vibes. And there was no single system of record for BDRs, AEs, or mass email sending infrastructure or marketing to work off of. And we were missing out on high intent, high fit accounts. So that's what we built. We built an account scoring model that pulls every signal we care about on a company, unifies them for an account, and stores them in a database in a structured format, and then surfaces that to the sales team. So the model is sort of really simple. It works on 2 axes, fit and timing. So the fit is sort of asking, is this the right kind of buyer? If they have the firmographic and technographic shape we're looking for in terms of employee count, vertical, where they are with their funding, growth stage, so on and so forth. With timing, we're asking if the account is active right now. Are they exhibiting change signals that we care about that tell us that they're ready to buy our product? And based on that, we categorize accounts into 4 quadrants. P1 for like high intent, high timing accounts. And we tell our reps that these are the accounts that you should be calling right now. And then P2 are like high fit, decent timing, or like decent fit, decent timing sort of accounts. And we tell them that they should also be receiving outreach, but like maybe emails and like nurturing more than like immediate outreach. And then with P3 accounts, we sort of automate outreach there. These are like lower fit accounts or like good fit, maybe not the best timing sort of accounts. So we sort of just send them like low touch sequences. And for P4, those are accounts that are not a good fit or should be ignored in the CRM. These scores show up in Salesforce, and these account briefs also show up in our reps dialers. And companies are constantly reprioritized based on their scores on a monthly basis to enable our go-to-market team to do focused outreach. Okay. So this project runs on a few primitives. The way we score accounts, accounts flow in through 4 inputs. If it's like a bulk import, just like a big batch of CSV, like thousands of accounts you want to score, enrich. We also have a web app to do like one-off scoring. We can also sync from Salesforce, the CRM we use, and any accounts that directly interact with us from a website visit, a form fill, an email, LinkedIn engagement or ad also get feeded into the system. Then we run a bunch of enrichments on them with Deepline and other providers, store them in a super-based Postgres with 12 tables, storing all sorts of data, and we orchestrate that with GitHub Actions. And then you see that score right there. Custom field in Salesforce, and again, a web app. We also store outcome data. So we want to capture at what score was that meeting booked, at what score was that account sort of converted, how many touch points it took to convert an account, and label out that data, and hopefully maybe in the future train an algorithm off of it. I used to be a Clay power user. So before I went all in on this big engineering project, I really had to ask myself why not just use Clay. The cost was roughly comparable. All the signals were there. I'm not finding anything super niche. But what Clay is great for is one-time workflow enrichments. It's not set up to sort of structure and score your entire TAM. And if you've used Clay recently, after like a few thousand rows, it sort of starts glitching. And you have to click a bunch of buttons in your UI to get the output you need. And so we decided to go with a database where you can audit logs and store snapshots and really have like a system of record that has everything that you need to sort of build on top of. Okay, I would love to show you guys the web app that we have. I picked Profound because they're a customer. Just to show you guys what it looks like. So they're already scored in our system. Legendary fit. That's great because you're a customer. So you can see a bunch of data on them, their headcount, their business model, website visitors, we care about that. We care about if they have a RevOps function, if they have a go-to-market engineer, if they have the headcount growth, so on and so forth. We get some data on their CRM setup, if they have automations that they pay for. They didn't interact with default recently, so that's not stored. And then we have third-party data. So for third-party data, I store a bunch of job descriptions in a table and run inference off of them to infer other signals, like if they have any AI initiatives mentioned in the job postings, if they're talking about any specific pains we care about as a company. And you can click into the job postings and like see what they're talking about. Just like sort of cross spot check and confirm that this is doing its job. And now when you call somebody or send outreach, you have all this data available to you to do all sorts of personalized stuff. So wrapping it up, each rep has a book of P1 to P3 accounts. No more guesswork. You can just go to the CRM and check that month's P1s and P2s that you should be working out of. We will be using outcomes to refine our scoring model, maybe collecting more data to improve scoring, maybe moving to a gradient boosted machine learning algorithm. And maybe in the future, we'll use more agent-driven outbound, use all these data points to convert P3 accounts to personalized outreach. Yeah, thank you. We're hosting a breakfast at Tech Week if you guys want to sign up and learn more about default or chat. Yeah. If anybody has any questions.
Any questions for Nandika? Question for you.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing this for prospects, and how does prospect fit in or lock, or are they completely independent?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Are you doing this for prospects too, like individual people, and is there any mutual dependence, or are they completely separate?
We do this at the company level, if that's your question. We also score like partners and customers just to like have a pulse check on how the scoring model is doing. So you can technically score any account. We do have like hard disqualifiers, like if you're a B2C company, we sell B2B, so stuff like that, if that answers your question. Yeah.
How do you measure before and after impact of reps prioritizing the P1s over just Monday morning guesswork?
Totally. So this system is new, but we're hoping to look at touch points per opportunity, touch points per qualified opportunity, just looking at like how many reps or calls or emails it took to get one opportunity, and hoping that that metric goes down. Because the idea is that you're working off of great accounts and not spending time on the bad ones.
Are you kind of relying on the fact that like your market is growing to identify who's in market?
Yes, we have the benefit of working in the go-to-market tooling space. So there are a ton of signals that we personally care about that are easy to surface or buy. So we do have that advantage. Depends company to company.
What are the things that you're going to think through when you decide, or that you think you might have to contend with when you decide whether to build or buy lead conversion agents?
What kind of lead conversion agents?
Chat, email, text, voice, electronic demos.
Yeah, I think the data that this model stores and has is so specific and niche to what we care about that building agents off of our own data infra is going to be a lot more beneficial, hypothetically, than buying lead conversion agents with a few configurable parameters and data points that you can feed it. So to that end, I think it would make more sense for us to build it in-house.
What does it not make sense to build in-house?
What? Who should buy agents? I think that's a decision that you can, I think it depends on the effort and the level of complexity. I think personally with Claude Code out of my terminal, I think there are a few things I can justify buying currently if it's not data infrastructure itself.
Perfect. Thank you. Great job. Next up, we have Hunter from Ordo, who's going to be talking about his RFP Gremlin. And then I exit. Oops, sorry. We got this guy and full screen. Awesome.
Hey everyone, I'm Hunter. I'm the CEO of Ordo. We're a little bit of a different company. Okay. All right, there we go. Let's see. So Ordo is America's fastest growing school lunch program, kind of a unique company. My mom actually worked in child nutrition education at our school district for 35 years, so it's a very personal problem to me. We're set up like a tech company. I'm a Teal Fellow. I'm part of that world, but also in the school lunch world. Our company's incredibly fast growing. We've been growing 2-3x basically since we started it. We're about 8 figures in revenue now, over 15 states, a lot of districts you may know, and that's the company. Basically what we do is we've built a platform of apps that help coordinate a huge network of people that are making school lunch happen. So everything from the caterers to the food suppliers to the school administrators to the regulators. We have apps for everybody that help automate the compliance and regulatory supply chain procurement aspects of the business. And so today I'm actually going to talk a little bit about our go-to-market, specifically our RFP process. Just a show of hands, how many people know what an RFP is or has heard it before? Okay, I see government technology has gotten popular. Yeah. So I won't waste too much of your time, but RFPs are really long documents that government bodies or enterprises issue that you compete on to get their business. So if I want to serve school lunch at your school district, I have to compete on your RFP. These RFPs are really, really big. They are between $3 and $30 million typically on what we're competing on. I've seen ones as large as $80 or $100 million. About $50 billion spent a year on school lunch in America, so huge market. The typical contract length is 5 years, so we have a lot of leeway when we build stuff, and when we build, we're thinking really long term because we're going to keep our customers for a really long time. So everything we build is with that intention, and so RFP Gremlin is to help us scale our RFP process. So last year, oh man, we brute forced our way to winning these, and they were hard. The team was up late hours. Every single proposal is over 100 pages. Every single one custom written. It was so tiring. We basically had 5 people working on this, and we were able to submit 91 RFPs. And so that's why we built RFP Gremlin. And so RFP Gremlin takes an RFP from end to end, and it's replaced a bunch of tools for us along the way. It's become really big. So basically what we'll do is we'll get some information on a school district and we'll extract it into like these custom fields that we've set up. Like, does the district want hot lunch or cold lunch? Do they need Monday through Friday service or Monday through Thursday or whatever? So it pulls it from all the documents and gives us like a summary, and then gives us fields that are very specific to the multiple choice of what they should be. This is an example of like a custom feature that we were able to build. So this is a school district that was featuring a financial deficit. So then you can know, okay, maybe we shouldn't bid here, or they might have an issue, or oh, they need the lowest price, or that might be the most important thing to them. So this is just an example of some of the like custom tooling that we were able to build really quickly when you set up a really nice app for yourself. Yeah, so now the RFP squad just spends their day auto-extracting. It's pretty cool. Only 2 people running this thing. And this year, it's been pretty great in terms of output. It makes really nice, beautiful RFPs where we can show pictures of the food, pictures of the expansion. And we were shopping for RFP software, and all of them are like very word and text-based. They were very clinical. Even all the really big ones that you kind of see out there. And so we were like, we're a school lunch company, and we kind of have to show photos of the food. It's probably important. We like to show photos where we write, see 100% accurate photos of what you'll get, right? And so in order to do that, we had to build this. And so we were able to build this interface, and you can see this like Microsoft Word style interface that we built. It's really cool with different tabs. And if you could see, like, for example, the blue text over here on the left, that signifies a field. That's an example of something that was pulled with AI and then inserted into our structured templates. So we create structured templates, and then we just like insert information where it makes sense. Yeah, it was really cool. So this year, we had a lot more RFPs running through this thing, and it took way less people to do what we needed to do. And the product that came out was really beautiful and really nice. So I was very happy with this. And this product here, RFP Gremlin, was built by me and my partner, Sheila, Chief Product Officer of the company. So we did this by ourselves. And the team today, we serve in a bunch of states, but I think something that's very unique about us is we only have 12 people on the team. So very small and mighty, but we've done a lot. And all of it has been by kind of leaning into this ideology and building fast and building things that kind of help us do the job every day. So RFP Gremlin was first, then we went crazy, and we were like, wow, this will be cool. So we started building all sorts of tools around it. Everything from like a factory that kind of supports the tools, so we can push tickets to it, expands on them, develops and builds, to all the other apps and pieces around it. And then some of them are still live today in the application. Other things, may see replaced, but we've seen some really cool primitives along the way. Even as you're building, I heard someone say like, what's worth, building and what's worth buying. I think as you're investigating this, it kind of becomes clear when you really dig in. You'll find some things that are primitives, and some of those companies are here today. So I think type.com is a really great example of this. So this is an example that you'll run into when you go to build an agent on top of all of your platforms. So you've built all these platforms, you're doing all these things. Now you're like, shit, I want to be able to like call all of the RFPs that were in California or something. And rather than having to build an interface to display and format, it would be nice to have an agent that does this. When you go to build the agents, you'll realize, oh my God, there's so much harnessing and things that you have to do. And so type.com has made it really easy for us to solve some of these problems. And so you can kind of like, as you'd think, chat with the apps and get information and do quick pulls. And then when you need to be a little power user, you can run in Gremlin and do your thing. So that's it. I just wanted to run through it quickly, show you all. That's RFP Gremlin. Thank you all. Oh, yeah, sure. Any questions? In the back? You, right there. It was the only name.
Is 100% of your demand RFP-based?
So like RFPs have to be done. So like whether you met somebody and it's warm or you're submitting it cold, you have to do the contract. So it's like if this is an essential part of it, it immediately becomes like a threshold on your capacity. So you want to reduce the capacity of doing the RFPs so that you can actually like do the job. But if you think about it, in the sales motion, yeah, like we do a lot of fun stuff. Like we do tastings, who's going to say no to like free awesome lunch? But I think the RFP is just an essential part of the contracting period, and so being able to do it quickly and scalably is important.
Do you also deliver, like provide the food, or do you get third-party companies to like back-to-back?
Yeah, whenever investors ask me this question, I always say, well, when it's your wedding, did you or your wife go pick up the food? And obviously not. So the caterers all are a part of that, and so if there's delivery or it's done on site, doesn't really matter. That's part of the experience of getting food to people. So.
Have you gotten any signal yet about win rate, like RFP win rates, manual versus automated?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think like we aren't quite measuring that because the thing that we are outputting looks exactly like what we were doing manually. We are just replacing certain elements, and because of this, because you're not going through and just like rewriting, Ross Valley School District like 100 times, you can actually focus on the special sections, and then you create, we have templates and all that sort of stuff, and then sections where you can save sections and be like, ooh, this one's going to be good for all the like Atlanta area schools, and you just save it as a Atlanta area section for whatever. So yeah, hopefully that answers some of that questions.
Are you going to open source the repo?
Oh, great question, great question. I have gone back and forth on this. I'll think about it.
How do you verify for accuracy? Because school districts are so specific.
Yeah, do you mean like accuracy of like what we're writing in the RFP?
Like understanding what their intention is, because districts don't always, unfortunately I know way too much about this.
So school lunch is a weird part of school districts. They are long-standing, 75 years program of record for free lunch. And so kind of what happens is like this has been standardized at the state level, and it's just like what are the components and what does the state contracting allow for. So we have all these standardized fields. A lot of them are like true or false, or like do they want hot service on breakfast and lunch? And AI is like really good at catching that type of stuff. So it's pretty great.
Do you see like any more complexity, especially the specialized stuff? Because like like menus have been evolving much more. Like there are people now vegetarian, vegan, or like there is a lot of different like type of like menus now. And so do you see like an increasing like in the cost, or for example the diversity of like items?
Yeah, so like, he asked about like, different types of meals and accommodating allergens. So we do that. We're required to do that, but we go above and beyond with that kind of stuff. The thing that's really special about Ordo is that all of our meals are scratch made. We do that also because it's awesome, but the other piece is that you're buying commodities at the commodity level. So you're not buying it from a food manufacturer with all this margin on it and all this shit. So you can basically make cool stuff and it's not gonna cost as much, so to speak. That's the fundamental underwriting for the company, so. Red in the back.
Yeah, so Ordo is like a tech-enabled services business. I'm curious internally how they come up with AI and agents like that. This RFP thing is obviously a part of that, but I think a lot of us work at pure tech companies. So I'm curious how you've seen that.
How we think about buying. I think like what I was saying before about primitives is really important. You're like, what is the primitive of this technology? Like, what do I want to spend my time doing? What do I not want to spend my time doing? And I think for every company, it's specific to the company and it becomes clear as you step into it. I think the thing that's weird about it, we're not a great case study because how many school lunch companies do you know who are also up here talking about this stuff and doing this thing? So I think we're a weird one. I wouldn't be resemblant of it. I'd be more like any other tech, friend that you're asking that question to, so.
We can do one more.
Right there. RFP Gremlin was built in 4.5 weeks. The entire internal platform you just saw, everything, was built in the last 90 days. And the original core applications were built pretty quickly. I mean, even before AI, there was Ruby on Rails, and we had a gem for everything. So, it's part of the shtick. Cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Perfect. Thank you, Hunter. That was fantastic. I also realize we need to name our stuff better now. I can't compete with Gremlin. Next up, we have Nick Lafferty from Profound, the founding marketing engineer. I also like to make up my own titles. Perfect. Thanks, Nick. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. Hi, man. How you doing? Ravish, what's up, man? Good to see you. I missed you. I was over there. Hi, I'm Nick. While we get this set up, who here would describe themselves as a marketer or marketer interested? Okay, cool. Broad spectrum, cool. Okay, we'll talk about all of that stuff. Sweet. Okay, let me not show you my text to my girlfriend, please. That would be cool. Okay, hi, I'm Nick. That's me. I'm the founding marketing engineer at Profound. I'll tell you what a marketing engineer is in a sec, but first, it is my duty to tell you what Profound is. Have y'all heard of Profound before? Cool, okay, nice. Profound is a company that helps brands understand and control how AI search talks about their company. And so if you Google in Google AI mode or Gemini or ChatGPT, what's the best women's running shoe to run a half marathon? And it's, the list is Nike, Adidas, New Balance. We help those brands understand when and why they show up. We've raised a bunch of money from really amazing VCs like Sequoia, Lightspeed, Kleiner Perkins. We work with really sick companies like Ramp, Uber, Dentsu, etc. And my job title is weird. I'm a marketing engineer. We kind of just made this shit up, to be honest with y'all. It turns out you can just invent a job title and people just go with it if you're persuasive enough, and we were very persuasive. We were so persuasive that Google's AI general, Marvin, completely unprompted, posted this on LinkedIn after we came out with our announcement of what a marketing engineer is. And he says marketing engineers are the hire of 2026, period. So hopefully at this point you're somewhat curious what a marketing engineer is. I'll tell you in a sec. But first, we use Default. We love Default. I bought Default on my second day at Profound. Implemented it on this form, 3x'd my meeting booked rate. It made me look amazing in front of our board on our first board meeting, which was really, really sick. We use SQL to run our webinars. That's me. It's my face. How Profound uses Profound. You can sign up to attend that on Thursday. Is that tomorrow? Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll be there. Come see me speak again if you liked anything I said today. Cool, I'm gonna show you a 90-second video of what the marketing engineer is, and hope this plays, and then I'll come back and talk to you.
Since the beginning, we've been storytellers. And for just as long, technology has shaped our stories.
Yes.
The medium, changing the message. Change is here again, and it's seismic. Customers don't just search anymore, they ask. AI. It decides how your brand's story is told, or if your brand is part of the story at all. In the age of superintelligence, storytelling will change. Brands that don't evolve will disappear. The marketers that remain will emerge. Marketing engineers, orchestrators of people and machines, part builder, part artist, and they'll be superhuman. The future will not look like the past. It will be better. The era of AI demands profound.
Sweet. Okay, thank you. Please clap. Please clap. Thank you. I made that myself in iMovie in like 10 minutes. Just kidding. Okay, so part of my job, we're not going to watch Hot Ones, is I build AI systems, AI agents, AI workflows to empower my marketing team to not be so bogged down in manual work. A lot of my background is I'm a paid ads marketer by trade, but would describe myself as more of a technical marketer. I had my own GitHub repo for the last like 8 years. I run my own personal website off of GitHub and Cloudflare pages. And so of everyone on my team, I was kind of the most natural person to adopt AI tools and AI systems. That was the end of my slides and my videos. I'm just going to show you some cool stuff I built, if that's okay. So part of Profound's go-to-market is we post on LinkedIn and then we get leads afterwards. It's quite a really easy feedback loop of I post on LinkedIn, my CEO posts, CTO posts. We built a culture around using LinkedIn to drive inbound pipeline for our business. It doesn't work for every business. You need interesting people to talk about interesting things, and your audience has to be on LinkedIn. So the guy before me selling to school districts, probably not a good company to use LinkedIn, but for Profound, it's great. So we know if we post on LinkedIn, we get leads, leads become pipeline, pipeline becomes dollars for us, but we didn't really have a good way to kind of stitch all of this together. And so with Claude Code, I combined our social media views on LinkedIn and a bit of Twitter with our HubSpot data to kind of just like visualize when we have posts pop off, what happens. And we knew that we post and things happen, leads come in. And so you can kind of see here, this says Series C up here. We announced our Series C in February, made a gigantic deal about it on LinkedIn, and got a bunch of leads afterward. And then went kind of quiet. And we announced the marketing engineer, which I've kind of titled up there. We got some leads. And so then I kind of look at who are our top posts. Is it Dylan, our CTO, on Twitter? Is it James, our CEO? Or is it me saying I didn't want to be a head of marketing that got 133 impressions on LinkedIn, which was pretty cool, 133,000. And then also kind of like top contributors. So the goal of this was to kind of just build insights and data into how social media drives leads and inbound for our business. And this took me like an hour in the airport lounge when I was flying back from Europe last week. Okay, thing number 2. My background is in paid ads. I run Google ads for gigantic SaaS companies. And right now I have a marketing agency I pay to run Google ads for me. And I love them, but I want to replace them. Mostly for my ego, to be honest with y'all. Like, they're amazing, but I kind of want to have the LinkedIn post that says I literally replaced my marketing agent with, or my marketing agency with an AI agent I built. So it's actually a very selfish endeavor. And so I took everything I knew about Google ads, which is quite a lot, and built individual agents that run on a schedule, all in GitHub Actions. And so it does things like monitor my campaigns, look for search terms, find new keywords, look at ad copy, look at geo, device, splits, schedules, competitive intel, that kind of stuff. And I'd open Slack, but my security team would kill me for showing you that. But basically, it takes all this info and puts it in Slack and gives me a button to action on it. So none of this takes action on my behalf in the platform, mostly because I just don't trust it to fully have like a fully automated loop. I still do deeply believe in a human in the loop element, but the Google Ads API, super easy. Google Ads itself are very easy to automate with AI. It's literally everything is just text and numbers and data. It's not like LinkedIn, which is a bit more complicated. But I did build something for LinkedIn, which I'll show you right now. Okay, it's very hard to do this one-handed, so bear with me. Okay, the biggest bottleneck for me to running more LinkedIn ads is I don't have a lot of design resources at Profound. All of our designers build product. They don't really build marketing stuff. And so I asked them to build me templates in Figma that I could then connect to Claude Code via MCP and go through and have it build my ads for me. So I have these like 5 kind of templates, and each thing has text I can go in and swap. And so what I did is in Claude Code, I had it connect together, and so this up here is all the templates. These ones are ads I generated with Claude Code. And here it is. This is my terminal. A second ago, my dad loves the Grateful Dead. I do too. And so I asked Claude to write me some ads with the lyrics from Althea, from the Grateful Dead. I will not run these on LinkedIn, but a second ago, it made these down here. And so you can just make ads as long as you have the visual template. Everything else you can change, the CTA, the text, all of it in Claude Code. And so I will use this to go scale my ad output to run LinkedIn ads for my company. Okay, last thing I want to show you. I kind of stumbled into this thing, but I run my own personal website, which I will show you here. This is me. It's like a little mini LinkedIn bio right here. It's just a GitHub repo with a static site generator called Hugo on the back end. And I kind of use this as my testing ground to test things on my website and then deploy them to the Profound website after I've kind of validated them. So one of the things I wanted to do is take all the times my web page was cited in AI search and insert it into the top nav of my website. So every week, GitHub runs an action that pings the Profound API, looks at how many times my website and this page was cited, stores it in my GitHub repo, and then when my website builds every week, it updates this automatically. And, oh my God, let me scroll down. And then I also have a page that shows in total how many times my website was cited in AI search over the last 6 months, I think. And all of this is from Profound and updates automatically. My website really does get cited this much. It's kind of insane. And so in building this, I wanted to make an agent that also went through all of my posts. I have lots of posts about AI search and listicles and best AI tools. And I want to keep these updated. But the problem is I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to go write these every week or every day or every month. I'd rather have an AI agent do it for me. And one of the things that Profound does is we put out research around what domains are most cited in AI search. We have billions of data points around everything related to citations, visibility. Is Reddit the #1 most cited domain? Is it YouTube, et cetera? But it's all in a Google slide doc, which is not a great format for AI to look at. And so I gave this to Claude, and I was like, hey, I have this publicly shareable URL. Can you turn this into Markdown? Like, turn it into text for me in a way that isn't like me just exporting a PDF or JPEGs from this. And it did. Let me see if I pulled up the right repo. I don't think I did. But basically, you can give Claude a URL of a Google slide, and it can go and literally look at it and extract all the data from it, and then turn it into a markdown file. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Cool, yeah, so this is it, yeah. So this is an agent that runs every week and syncs the Profound research here. It takes a URL, finds everything that's over 180 days or younger, and then stores it here into this file. And so this file is updated all the time. And then crucially for me, what I wanted and why I built this is that research gets old and stale in my industry very quickly. And so I don't want to cite a piece of research from a year ago because it's quite literally very out of date and often incorrect. And so my agent will go through and deprecate anything over 180 days old and remove it from this markdown file. This markdown file is referenced by other agents I have to update, create content on my website. So right now my website just kind of like updates itself in the background. And that's like a sample of things I built as a marketing engineer at Profound. Thank you. Okay, you're closer.
Yeah, I have actually two questions. The first one is like,
Only one.
Okay, you say you're doing like, you have an agency for ads, right? And you're also doing some organic content. So what source do you have like the best leads coming from? Is it organic content or paid ads?
So his question was, what source generates the best quality leads for us? It's kind of a mix. Like honestly, the best leads are people who look up your brand directly. So someone who Googles your company or asks ChatGPT about your company. So I would say branded organic search tends to be the highest quality. And why I say that is because someone looking up your company has the highest intent to purchase. And so like, that's kind of like the top for me. Yeah.
The Google Ads agent, is that something that only runs separately as a separate agent, or is that something I can feed to my existing open client, for example, adopt all that context and have it run as like a skill?
Yeah, I think you could totally plug it into OpenClaw and do that stuff. Yeah, for sure. Okay, black shirt. The question was, how did I get 500,000 citations? I kind of cheated, to be honest. Every tech company I work at, I build a backlink to my website. And so it's honestly a good idea. So the best time to own a website was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Make a domain, write blogs for your company, and then just link back to your website and do that for 10 years, and you get really good domain authority. And that's honestly how I get cited so much. So I have tons of backlinks from Profound. I used to work at Loom a few years ago, have a ton of backlinks from there, and just like so on down the road, basically. Yeah, on the Profound blog or the Loom blog, I just link back to my website. Usually it's like the author bio at the bottom. Sometimes I would sneak a inline link back if it was relevant or not, because when you run the content, you also run the backlinks. So, you know. Okay, next door to him. Yeah. Okay. You mean this one, this research file right here? Yeah. Yeah, and so, I mean, really, this was me kind of stumbling into something crazy, is that I knew I had this Google slide link, and I was like, how do I get this into a markdown file in my repo? And so I just gave this to Claude, and I was like, how do I do this? And it just kind of figured it out, really. Like, it really wasn't a lot of my brain involved, to be very honest with you. The hard part is the research. Like, I think like to abstract away the Profound stuff is like, if you have data in a Google slide, that it turns out if you give it to Claude, it can just pull it itself from a public URL. Like, the URL has to be open to the internet, and then once that's true, Claude will just do it, basically. Okay, I see your hand. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about, you're saying like LinkedIn is a big lead driver. You say LinkedIn is like leads from LinkedIn. Are you talking like physical people, or they're not filling out forms, I'm assuming. Is this like you're basically flagging intent from folks who are commenting, engaging, et cetera, and interpreting that? Can you like talk about what that flow is?
Yes, yeah, good question. And the answer, I think you'll be surprised, is that people find us on LinkedIn and then go to our website and submit a contact sales form. I know that because yes, I mean, honestly, like I think anyone can do it. I think it's the tracking is people don't understand how to track those things. And so there's two ways. God, I wish I could show you my HubSpot right now. Can I have like 2 more minutes? Okay, cool. Oh God, I'm breaking so many. Do I have any competitors here? Raise your hand, please. Oh God, hang on. Yeah. Oh my God. This is where I get in trouble. I go off script. Oh no. Oh God. Okay, hang on. Give me a sec. So basically, what I'm trying to show you, my security is insane. My inbox is insane too. Like, if you want to review Profound, I'll give you $250. That's what all these 200 emails are, is like me asking people for G2 reviews. I digress very heavily. Okay. Let me scroll down the sensitive stuff. Okay, leads from LinkedIn. Okay. Okay, so this is how many leads Profound generated from LinkedIn by month. No pictures, please. And so what this looks like, I'm getting to your answer, I promise, is this looks at 2 things. It looks at, let me decode HubSpot lingo for y'all. It looks at anyone who clicked directly from a LinkedIn post, which has like UTMs on it. That's like 20% of my leads. The rest of it is people who fill out my sales form and literally tell me they found Profound on LinkedIn. And so when you submit, like I control the default form. And so when you submit this form, you can't really tell, but there's a, how'd you hear about Profound? I force you to fill this out. This is a required 5-character minimum limit open text, and you tell me LinkedIn. And that is how I kind of like stitch all those things together. I think you'd be surprised like what posting on LinkedIn in general can drive for you demand-wise if your audience is on LinkedIn too. Cool. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks, man. Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick. Next up, we have Kathleen Booth from SQL.io.
Thanks for the
yeah. Another customer. Perfect. Awesome. Cool. Also, I know we ran out of pizza, so we have a little bit more coming if you didn't get any the first time. Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit of both.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm kind of really intimidated because I am not an engineer. I'm not a GTM engineer. I am not a marketing engineer. I am a VP of marketing. I do not have a technical background. I did not have a GitHub repo until like 3 months ago. I still think it's hysterical that I have one. Is there anybody else here who's non-technical like me? Like 3 people. Great. Okay. So it's just a little bit intimidating. So a little bit of context on SQL because it's relevant to what I'm going to talk about. We are a webinar platform. There are a ton of them. It's a very crowded, competitive landscape. And I think we have 19 competitors that we track. And our biggest competitors are huge legacy players. So Cvent just acquired Goldcast and On24, which were big competitors. And then Zoom is another one. And then there's a bunch of tiny ones. But the point being, we can't outspend our competitors. We are a challenger brand. We move insanely fast. We have an unbelievable product team that is constantly innovating. And the great part of that is that we have new product launches literally every week. The bad part about it is that I joined the team last November to lead marketing, and the marketing team is me, a demand gen person, and 2 BDRs. So we have new product launches every week and no product marketer. So selfishly, when I joined, I started to solve for myself and immediately looked at how could I use AI to solve product marketing. Because when I joined, not only did we have no product marketer, but they told me, we've released things for the last 4 months and haven't announced them yet, and we need to catch up. So my 30, 60, 90 went out the window, and I joined November 1st, and the goal was by Christmas to catch up, so in the first 60 days. And what wound up happening is I used the first 30 days to get onboarded, understand the company, and then we decided to do something called 12 days of shipping in December, where we did a new product launch every day for 12 days, leading right up to the holidays. It was insane, and the only reason I could do it is because of AI. And the system has definitely gotten smarter. When I first started, it was a prompt chain in ChatGPT with a bunch of really good training documents. But it's gotten much better because I did discover and learn how to use Claude Code in February. I am completely obsessed. And so everything I'm building now is done in Claude Code. I use VS Code instead of the terminal. I find it easier. I love it. I spend a lot of time in it. But what I'm going to share with you are two things. One is the product marketing brain, and then I'll tell you about something I just built this weekend. So the product marketing brain. Basically, when I first got here, I built training documents including our ICP, our personas, our voice and tone, our messaging. I fed it everything I possibly could, all of our call transcripts, meeting recordings with the head of product when he was telling me what the product did, meeting recordings with the CEO when she shared her vision, like literally everything I could give it. Thank God for call recording. And I built a library of training documents. Gave that to AI. Then my new system has an intelligence layer, which is essentially, it starts with competitive intelligence. So it goes out every week to all 19 competitors, and it scans their product update blogs, any news releases they do, any press coverage on them, basically all the sources you would typically look at if you were trying to figure out, did they release something new, did anything change with the platform? Or were there any big, M&A announcements or funding rounds? And that scans weekly. In the beginning, it used to just be through Manus, and it would send me a PDF, and then I would manually post it to Slack. Now I have it set up with a Slack app that I built, and it posts to Slack for our whole team to see with all the news from the week, linking back to the sources. Excuse me. And I have markdown files, excuse me, for each competitor. So where it started to get really smart is, and I don't know why I'm going to cough so much, excuse me, is the weekly competitive intelligence scan. When it's finished, basically the system looks at that, updates the markdown files on each competitor with the recent news, and so they get smarter every week. And I have a constantly self-updating set of individual competitor markdown files that are fully up to date. Thank you so much. And so for each competitor, I have a source of truth. I built the same thing for SQL. I have a source of truth on us and our product so that then I could go and essentially do comparisons. Where it started to get really interesting was two areas. One was around battle cards. I kept getting requests for battle cards from my sales team, but with 19 competitors, it was just a lot to have to do, again, with no product marketer and all the other things I had to do in marketing. And so I built a skill that looks at my markdown files. It's integrated with Google Drive, and it basically builds Google slide decks that are formatted battle cards for the competitors. And then the battle cards self-update using a skill that I created that looks each week at the new additions to those markdown files that I described from the competitive workflow, and then pushes anything relevant to the battle card. I can also feed it manual information, essentially, like if my sales team gives me feedback, I can give that to it. And I'm working on more of a recursive loop, which I'll get into in a minute, but that's been a huge unlock. So we have battle cards for all 19 competitors. They're pretty much self-updating for the most part, so that's on like a set it and forget it basis. But what's also great is because I have the markdown files and the battle cards, I can build a more, let's call it customer-friendly skill in Claude, because most of my team is not using Claude Code, and so I can put it into Claude. They can query the project, which is synced with my markdown files and all the other information I have on the competitors, and if they just have a random question while they're on a live call, they can ask it and get an answer pretty quickly. So they really like that. The other thing that I built was a product launch skill, and again, it started with a prompt chain, but now I can take a brief from our chief product officer, give it to Claude Code, and because it has all the information on our buyers, on our product, on our competitors, it can build everything I need for a product launch. Everything from the product brief, to the blog, to the script for a founder video, to sales enablement messaging, again, like additional battle cards if I need it, BDR, outbound emails, etc. The next step is going to be staging those outbound emails to Apollo. I haven't done that yet, but we're getting there. So that's sort of the system I built. And I think the lessons I learned along the way were definitely, you have to start with amazing training documents and as much source material as possible. So the call recordings, I love Whisperflow for just being able to talk to my AI all the time. And then switching from initially prompting to building skills, the big thing I learned the hard way, which might be obvious to all of you who are more technical, is in the beginning I tried to build single skills that could do everything, and that did not work. And so now what I've learned is to really atomize it and separate each individual job to be done by AI into a single skill, and then have something that orchestrates all the skills together. And so they're working in concert, but they each have their own area of expertise. That's made a huge difference. And then the other thing that's made a huge difference is really keeping it all in Claude Code, because for me at least, the two things that are super important to me to make this useful, one is persistent memory. So across my conversations, having it remember the things I've talked about previously from different conversations. I really wanted that. I wanted it to get smarter over time and have that memory. And the other is recursive learning. And so I wanted to make sure that I could dialogue with the results I was getting. And so when I first started building a lot of these things, I would try to have it send it to me in Slack or send me an email or what have you. And you can't really dialogue with those things. So I've changed it, and now everything possible lives in Claude Code. I give it feedback. I say, I don't like that. Please change that. And then I can tell it to remember it, and it has built-in memory files. And so it is always getting smarter and remembering my preferences. Those were huge unlocks for me. And setting things with cron jobs and GitHub has helped as well. The two quick things I was going to mention on this. I do have a little guide I put together for how you can recreate this. And I actually built it as I was sitting back there in the corner as a little Vercel page for you. So I'm going to give you a QR code, but if you want to create this product marketing brain, I have this public, you don't even have to take a picture because I'm going to give you a QR code. And it'll link right to this page. But this has down to the actual instructions that you can give to, for GitHub Actions and the Claude MD file that goes with this. So I'm going to just skip ahead for a second. There, now you can get your camera out if you want it. And so this has been a big unlock. We just hired somebody to lead product marketing, so the pressure is off of me a little bit, but what's great is I now can give him this whole system and he can run with it and make it even better. The other thing I was just gonna mention is I took this same approach, and over the weekend, I built a personal operating system, and one of the things I do is I write a weekly Substack, so I have the link up here to it, and I chronicle all of this as I'm going. And full disclosure, I am not an expert, and so literally it's like if I was a doctor, I'd be telling you seek medical advice before doing anything I'm telling you right now. But if you're interested in the personal operating system, it's sort of the same philosophy, but I built it this weekend. There's a document in my Substack, which is the Code Meets Creed link, that tells you how to build it, and it now goes out, and I can show you an example here from my VS Code terminal. It goes out every week, and it looks at all the granola transcripts from the past week. So I have a couple things. It summarizes those for me. It lists my action items. It looks at all the ClickUp tasks I have that are overdue and coming up. It looks at my email, my calendar, and it presents me with a weekly briefing, and then I have a daily rhythm as well that'll look at the last 24 hours and basically prep me for the day. And when it gives me the to-dos, I can say, hey, if these are all the action items, I can say add 1, 5, and 7 to ClickUp, and it knows exactly where to post them. And it's great because it's trained on a chief of staff prompt that I stole out of Kyle Poyar's newsletter from a guy named Justin Norris, which is a great prompt, and it literally is like having an executive mentor, and it gives me advice on how to communicate with my CEO, what to watch out for, etc. So this has been a huge unlock, and all the instructions for this are in the latest issue of my Substack. So I'll stop there. Any questions? Yeah.
When you create a skill, how do you teach someone on your team about it? How do you share it with them?
Oh, this is the $1 million question. The question is, how do you teach someone on your team about a skill? So I will admit, when I first started at the company, I was not teaching anyone anything. I was in survival mode and just like solving for myself. And now, like, I call it going from single player to multiplayer, right? Like, now we have to go to multiplayer. And I don't know that we have a great solution yet. I will say I just started doing, as part of our weekly team meetings, we have AI show and tell. And everybody, like, the expectation is that everybody share at least one thing they're doing with AI. And it can be super basic. It could be like, hey, it helped me write an email. But we do have some people on the team that are more AI forward. And so I think just like seeing what people are building is probably the best way, because I find, at least as somebody who doesn't have an engineering background, that the biggest limitation is like a failure of imagination, just understanding what the tools are capable of. And so when you see stuff that other people have built, it unlocks a lot. And yeah, yes.
Have you thought about expanding that system to generate like ads or demand gen material as opposed to just battle cards?
Yeah, so a colleague of mine, the person we just hired for product marketing, he actually also has a content marketing background. He has built an entire content marketing system off of this that looks at our content performance, it looks at how we're ranking, it takes all the training documents I created, and he has like a way to self-update all of our blogs, to write new ones, to create pillar content. So he's doing that. We're starting to build out solutions for outbound as well. That's an area where I think we have a lot of room for efficiency improvements. But I forgot to mention at the beginning, we do not have an ops team. We have nobody in ops. And I mean, we're growing fast. We're like tripling in size every year. And so that's why, you know, I say we're running really fast to try to solve for our own problems. And so hopefully we're gonna have ops really soon. But for right now, we're just trying to keep up with the speed of the product team. Yes.
When you mentioned the single source of truth, but there's like launches happening every week, how do you make sure you're removing the old context and your single source of truth is not poisoned by outdated content?
Yeah, so the question is, how do we make sure the single source of truth stays updated if we're launching so rapidly? So part of it, this is like goes back to that like loop. Part of it is that every time we launch, we feed the information on the launch back in to the what I call like the master product training document. So we have like this one document, I think of it as like a Wikipedia entry on our platform, and with every launch, it gets added. And then every time we update our messaging, that gets added in as well. We're not removing things yet, but because we have the recursive learning, if something pops up and it's inaccurate, like somebody else said they believe in having a human in the loop, I do too. I call it the bookend strategy. I usually try to start by giving AI my perspective and my point of view. I let it run, and then when it comes back, I review what it gives me. And that's why I like keeping it in Claude Code, because if I see something inaccurate, I can be like, hey, that's not right. You know, fix that, and it will remember it from now on. So I find that, for me at least right now, that's working. There's probably a better way to do it. Yes.
When you say that you're looking into deploying things for outbound use cases, what do you see as like the lowest hanging fruit?
Oh my gosh, so much. So I have the BDRs reporting into me, and the biggest frustration I have is that if there's 5 days in the week, they probably spend one full day researching and prepping to call people, and I would just really like them to come in and call people. And so I think the first thing I want to solve is list building for outbound, and I want to do it in a way that feels like really useful, because we've done a few list building exercises in the past, but they haven't felt confident in them. And so getting that right is probably my #1 priority, so that they can just come in and like power dial. And then I think secondary to that, because we have so many signals right now to work off of. So the first problem is not like create more signals, it's get them calling. The second would then be like more demand gen plays, like, you know, you win an account, you go after the competitors, you do the job changers. I mean, we're doing that a little bit more manually now, and so I think that would be probably second for me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Perfect. Thank you, Kathleen. That was fantastic. So I'm going to do one last quick demo here, and we'll let you guys hang out, because I think that's the more fun part of these. Thanks. Perfect, thank you. Cool. How's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? I know it's a marathon here, so we'll try to keep it moving. And I'm actually going to switch to this main screen. Change. Awesome. So I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of building compound systems. So I think this is something that a lot of people think about or talk about. How do we build GTM systems, not just one-off workflows that get better over time, or how we approach these types of problems. And transparently, we're still like very early in this type of world where you can do this kind of everywhere. Every company has the ability to do this, not just the Vantas and the Ramps and the teams that have 15 engineers working only on this problem. And who am I? I'm Jai Toor. I'm one of the co-founders of Deepline. What is Deepline? We're a go-to-market toolkit for agents like Claude Code and Cowork and Codex. So what that means is essentially when you used to have to go set up your own APIs or build a database, you can now just type that into Claude Code. If Deepline is installed on your computer, it's a CLI. We will fill in all the gaps. We'll find the right API. We'll find the right enrichment provider. It's one API, one billing. So you don't manage your own accounts. You can just use our API, and we are buying the data from different providers for you, as well as integrations with your CRM, et cetera. And then we've basically just been filling in the gaps of, if you want to build GTM systems for yourself, if you're building internally, what are all the missing pieces you would need? So there's a lot of similarities to something like Vercel, where you can just go deploy an app on Vercel and it works out of the box. We're building that for GTM. And so why build GTM in code? Why not just use the existing tools that are out there? Here's what we've seen just switching from our previous environment of building everything in no-code tools. We had a customer we did some consulting last year. We had one customer where it took us about 4 weeks to build an entire TAM, score everything. We did a propensity model, like a real ML one, which seems crazy in hindsight now. And it took us about 4 weeks end to end. It was a very manual process. We redid that exact same process, got better outcomes within 3 days, and the propensity model was completely Claude generated. And it caught things that we did not capture and also generated everything we thought of. So the outcomes were pretty much identical, if not better. It was much faster. It was much less painful. And the reason that was possible is because we structured the data in a way that made it easy to do that. And we can repeat that for every customer now. On TAM building generally, we see our customers report it saves them about 9.5 hours per week if they're doing a lot of TAM building. If that's like one of your main things. And when I say TAM building, I mean going and searching multiple different providers for accounts, contacts, and figuring out which ones are a good fit for you. It's a very manual process in a lot of industries right now. You don't really know where that data lives. So what they're saving time on is discoverability and then repeating that process ongoing rather than doing it manually. And then the last thing is because you're able to do this programmatically, and that's a big piece of what we're seeing is the programmatic access to all of these tools lets Claude Code and Codex do things much faster than you could ever do. And it opens up new methods of solving problems that weren't really doable before. So a super simple example is previously you would probably just use one data provider to find companies or contacts. You would just like use one, maybe two. Now you can do 15, 20 all at once. You can exclude from different ones and just have API calls generated that find all the potential good customers across 15 to 20 different data sources and aggregate that into one data set magically. It does feel like magic sometimes because it's just so easy to do. And when you think about what it used to be like, I'm going to be that old dude who says in my day it took us 4 weeks and it was miserable. But that's kind of what we're seeing in terms of impact. And so I'm going to show you one quick example of something that a lot of people buy, and that's why I think it's a good one, of why would you want to build something in-house when it's so trivial to go find a service that already does this off the shelf. So there's hundreds of warm outbound tools, and what warm outbound means is when someone comes to visit my website, in the US at least, there is de-anonymization providers, which tries to guess who that person was. And then if I visit your website, you might immediately send an email to me saying, hey, saw you looking at our pricing page. And it's pretty commoditized, but why would I want to build internally? There were a couple different reasons. One, I wanted to be able to use our existing context on why a particular user or contact would be a good fit for us. I wanted it to match my rules, and I don't know which providers could actually match those rules. And those rules were largely like, what use cases do they have? What hiring signals exist? Doing all of that in one of these tools usually is pretty painful. And then the second piece was, I wanted to borrow things that I had already done before. So I've already solved a lot of the problems in this process. I know what signals I care about. I know what qualified looks like. I already know how to send an email. I already have infrastructure for that. And then I already have a database where I store information about our users. So if I already have all the other pieces, it feels weird to go have one workflow, go work somewhere else and not get the value that I've already built internally. And so the way we kind of think about it is that the sending of the email is not really the outcome. It's just another tool to help us find customers that need our services and advertise to them or market to them. And so why is this problem so hard? There's one really core reason, and it's storing state between all the different systems that we use. So who uses more than like 5 go-to-market tools? Yeah, probably most of you at any large company are using a lot of different systems. So I have 2 movies that I think capture what I feel when I'm building these systems and the ways people try to use AI to solve them. So number 1 is Memento. So I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but the premise is the guy has amnesia and he gets tattoos to remember what is going on. And this is what it feels like when I'm putting stuff in context files and saying, all right, just please don't do this again next time. Remember to look at that tattoo. I hope this works. And it's just not very structured. I don't really know what's happening. And I wake up confused every morning when it doesn't do what I want it to do, or I forgot why I even put that in there. And then the other one is 50 First Dates mode, where I don't even have the like ambition to store the information. And I'm like, I'll just fix it later. I'm just gonna keep going. And then I realize that I've done this 10 times for this exact same problem. And that constantly happens when you're building with AI and when you're building systems. You're like, I've already solved this problem, but I don't remember why it's not working now. And so when we built Deepline and we're building infrastructure around Deepline, we're really thinking about like, okay, how can we make it so nobody ever has to think about the difficult aspects of why these revenue systems are hard to build. And state is a really big part of it. And actually, if you guys were here last time, Shashank from Vanta did a really good talk about like revenue state machine, like where one lead is in the funnel, and if anything changes, everything else has to change. So keeping track of what is actually happening, what's important, that's across all of your different systems is pretty critical. And so how do we do it? We use databases. So we spin up a Neon database for every single customer that is owned by them. So they can just arbitrarily store information for every use case. Pardon me. And the benefit is everything gets logged automatically. You don't have to think about it. And it's super flexible. A lot of systems, like a CRM, have a lot of constraints. You have to like add a field. You have to get approval from operations. It might impact someone else's work. And the database just gives go-to-market engineers a lot more flexibility. So what this does, it saves you money. You don't pay for the same enrichments over again. If there's a new thing that you want to do, you know where that person is in the funnel. You can just continue them on the workflow in the new step. If something didn't work, you know that it failed. You can retry it. And then lastly, like when something happens that matters, all the systems now know because they have access to that data as well. Cool. So quick demo. I'm going to walk through. So when you guys were checking in, we actually used our workflow system to send that to a database in the back end. and what our database system looks like. So as you were checking in, we were getting webhooks. So we see that someone checked in about 14 minutes ago. That one didn't work, but Daniel was a little late. I will forgive you. But every time someone checked in, it looks like we're getting a couple multiple webhooks. It's storing that information and sending to a database and storing it locally. So this is our workflow system. You actually don't do anything in the UI. It's entirely in Claude Code. So if I want to create a workflow, I have one here where I was just creating one. Yeah, so I'm going to add another one. And it looks like I closed that tab. So it will stop asking questions, just go. And what that is going to do is it's going to use JSON to create this configuration. And you can see this configuration. I can copy it and paste it back into Claude Code. Claude Code is our primary interface. And there's pros and cons to that, but generally it just makes things easy to get started. And then when someone checks in, we have a webhook in Luma that is sent here. We normalize that data, capture it, send it to the dashboard. This is storing it to our database. And then I had it do some stuff in HubSpot that isn't really important right now. And we have a lot of different workflows. So I kind of think of these in two types of objects. We have workflows and then plays. Plays are kind of repeatable atomic units of tasks. So a play might be something like find someone's personal email or take a LinkedIn post and turn it into a list of people who engaged with it that I'm going to probably use more than once in different situations. And then a workflow is taking multiple different plays and putting it together. So we have this warm outbound workflow that we were just showing you on the website. And this one takes a visitor from someone visiting my webpage and then parses that information, makes sure that we're checking the database and that we're not sending it to the same person over and over again. All of these like little tasks that I don't actually have to really think about because Claude Code's doing the work, but I tell it what I'm trying to accomplish, and then it's filling in all the required steps. So you can see here, it does a lot of individual steps here. It's qualifying, it applies my ICP filter. All of this is backed up by code. It's a JSON configuration with JavaScript that you can commit to a GitHub repo, and then everybody has access to it. So I can repeat this for every customer. If I'm an agency, I can modify it and try a different variant if I'm a team that wants to A/B test something. So you can continually just try different things. And then lastly, the email waterfall. You can combine these like core concepts. So this is going to go try to find the user's work email because all we have is that they visited our website. It's going to check a bunch of different sources. So the magic here is really that this configuration is completely done in Claude Code and very easy and flexible. So we're going to show two more things. One, all the data can be stored to this database. So we call this our customer database. You can kind of get the configuration up here in the top right, and then you have access to anything you want to do in there. You can store information. Everything that you run through our system is automatically logged, so you can replay things, you can see what you've done. If somebody else already did the task that you're trying to do, it's really just like a shared brain between your entire company. And then here I have when someone is visiting the website, when they did it, and then whatever information we got from the provider. And then I can say, like, we sent an email to them, don't worry about it. And if they come back to the website, we don't care because we've already done this problem. So that's just like the back end of it. But it also enables pretty cool things. Like I can combine all the signals that we already have about everybody here. If people have used our application before, I can see that. I can see if we've done a meeting before. So Iggy at Squad, we had a meeting. Lev and the default team we've met with, and they're using us as well. So I can see who's using the app if we've had a meeting. And I also decided to go and do some research on folks. And so this is looking at everyone's background. And I actually wanted to do a present for one lucky guest. And I wanted to get a super personalized present for each individual person. So everybody has a gift hypothesis of what would be a good gift for them. So I did that for everyone who was potentially going to come. And then I filtered it for everybody that checked in here. So when I press the select winner spinner, it will choose a random winner, and I really hope this picks someone that is actually here. And then they'll get the gift that we provided, or cash if you prefer, if my gift hypothesis is wrong, and Deepline credits. And so let's press a button. Daniel and Gulo? Awesome. So what I decided, a Hoya Creative 49mm lens filter set. Do you do photography? I don't. Oh. Damn. Well, if you want to start photography, you have a lens filter set. We'll find a better one for you. We'll rerun it. But yeah, down here you can see exactly what happened, the company fit, the persona, what's the role. All of this information was stored in the database before, and then this Vercel app is kind of combining our database. It's a custom application for this use case, and then when the check-in happened, it's getting added to this in real time. So now we know that Daniel's here, and therefore he's qualified for this outcome. This is very similar to what we're doing for warm outbound. It's, okay, well, we already have enough information about what our ICP is. We know what we're actually trying to accomplish. Now we have this signal that they visited our website, use all the information from all the different data sources to take action that helps them figure out if this is a good fit for them or otherwise. Perfect, just two, yeah, I'll keep it short here. So when we see these, I've now done like hundreds of these implementations. We've built it with going on like 20 or 30 customers. And what I get asked a lot is like, all right, when should you use an agent? When should you use code? Can the agent just do this? Should I use OpenClaw? My general answer is you probably shouldn't use OpenClaw for most tasks. The non-deterministic part of this is the exploratory part. Like when you don't know exactly what to do, start there and use agents for that. You should throw every possible variation at Claude Code or Codex and just have it find the best options, test different things, and get to like a, hey, here's my recommendation. And then once you know what you're trying to accomplish, then you deploy as code. And that's the workflow that generally works really well for us and our customers is explore and then deploy. And so I've talked about a bunch of stuff, but I know it actually isn't as easy as I just made it look. It is very easy, I will say that, but where does it actually start breaking down? The two parts that are not really solved in this like Claude Code environment, the agent native environment, evals. So when I say evals, I mean defining what good looks like. That's actually most of our jobs now is just writing down, this is what we're trying to accomplish, and if this happened, it would be a perfect outcome. And I hate doing them, and my co-founders are here. They probably have noticed that I never do them when I say I'm gonna do them. But the reason that they're so painful is you actually have to sit there and think. And when everything else you're doing is kind of just like throwing stuff at an agent and it gets to go do cool things, the hard part is thinking and critically thinking about what really matters and what good would look like in this scenario. And there's three kind of outcomes here. When you have a really good, strong definition of what good looks like, the other thing I would highly, highly recommend if you're not doing it now, always include what bad looks like. Have as many negative outcomes as you possibly can along with those positive outcomes. The difference between those two is usually where the AI is extremely good at helping you find patterns. So always have negative outcomes also. Most of the time I just say the model will figure it out and this takes 10 times as long. Don't recommend that. And then slow, you're like, oh, I'll make evals as I go. The amount of value of just sitting down in front of a process and defining what good looks like is hard to quantify because every week it's probably like 10 hours for me I could have saved by just writing it down first, and it's a lesson I still have not learned and will continue to not learn. Yeah, but evals and then the chat iteration loop, when you don't have that really good outcome, you spend a lot of time just going in circles, and the tooling around that doesn't really exist when you're building GTM systems. If you're building a traditional agent, you have like LangChain and hundreds of logging tools, but GTM is qualitative. So what qualitative looks like is not as easy to define, and those tools are maybe overkill for what we're doing. So you end up not really having a good tool set. These are the two areas that we're spending a lot of time on of how do we make this more reliable and observable so you know when your systems are good or bad. Last things, I can probably, yeah. So last thing, just summarizing, what does this entire system look like? going from the before and after. Previously, you were doing static tables, sales nav. Most people are like moving past that, regardless of whether they're using a tool like Deepline or not. But the main thing that I think changing is it used to be just like bigger campaigns over time. So fewer campaigns, but they're big efforts, spend a lot of time, really invest. The ability and cost of doing small campaigns at scale is really, really powerful. And I would highly recommend just testing out like, hey, can we do twice as many campaigns? Can we do 4 or 5 times as many? Because that micro segment approach scales much faster than I think people realize. And the content is usually the constraint there, so I'm sorry for designers. But generally, you can move really quickly. So being targeted and smaller is really paying off for us. And then the 2 things that I think are still being built, but will kind of close the loop here, is the consistent state across systems, having one shared backend for everything. You don't actually need to like structure it too much. The agents will figure out where different data points are and can bridge the gaps. But the last piece is automated cleaning and improvement. So automated improvement of workflows. I have a task that goes through my warm outbound every day and says, hey, which ones look good, which ones look bad? Go change the workflow to improve it. So I have a workflow to improve my workflows, which makes me feel like I'm bad at my job, but it does actually work, and I continually just keep adding more checks like that, and we have seen tons of improvements. It's the same thing we're doing on the product side. Most product teams are trying to build these coding factories. The same thing can exist on the go-to-market side of, hey, these 10 things are working. Have a separate workflow that helps you do that. That's been pretty trivial to set up, honestly, and the results have been very impressive as well. Perfect. So yeah, I think the point of all of this is to do less manual work. We should be doing work. We should be doing the parts that are fun and critical thinking and exciting for us. I do think the shift in this market has given me more energy when I'm doing go-to-market now. It used to be kind of a slog and like, oh no, I have to go do my outbound today. And now it's like, I get to build a cool system to go do my outbound today. And it takes me more time, honestly, but that's just part of the game at this point. Awesome. So yeah, if you guys haven't tried out Deepline, the match boxes all around have a QR code that will take you to a promo code as well. If you want to get started, feel free to reach out after. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Any questions? Yeah. Deal. You're in.
I was really interested in what you mentioned on the problem of shared states. And you mentioned I can give everybody a deal on DB because it's more flexible than the CRM. But then I noticed that you had like HubSpot as a step in your workflow. So my question is like, yeah, why aren't you just using a DB for Deepline itself?
Yeah, that's a great point. The way I kind of think about it is the CRM exists for a very specific set of use cases. So in my mind, for most companies we work with, that's like the sales rep focused user interface. Like if it's in there, it's for sales to take action on. So all the random information and like dumb data that I'm making doesn't need to be in there. And honestly, it's just gonna confuse them. If I threw every single signal you possibly have into your CRM, it's unusable. So I like somebody described it to me as like a staging data warehouse. We also have a data warehouse, but it's basically like, hey, here's a draft of all the information. It's kind of like a holding database that helps us figure out what actually matters. And then when it's useful enough or we know that it matters for a sales rep specifically, let's push it to the CRM. Awesome. Yeah, anyone else? Yeah.
I'm actually a really big fan of Ordo, how the sandbox environment, ability to write code. I'm just curious, like, was it Ordo always the first choice that you guys explored, or is it you guys explored different sorts of agentic frameworks?
Yeah, no, we've explored all the agents and frameworks. I'm currently on a Codex binge right now. So I think we're designed to be agnostic to whatever front end you want. A lot of our biggest customers actually just use our APIs. So if you just want to build a system, one customer is Modal. Modal has production infrastructure. They're wrapping our kind of APIs and SDK and just building normal production apps. And that's just how they prefer to use it. We have folks who are hosting in like custom LangChain agents. I think Deep Agents is the name of that harness. So we're pretty agnostic. We build the toolkits and the APIs and the CLIs that sit behind those harnesses. And we do see better results with different tools over time. I think the biggest piece is, yeah, it changes, honestly, like day over day. We tried them all. Cloud Code has the most adoption in this market generally, like go-to-market engineering. I think that will shift a little bit. I do think Codex has made a lot of progress. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's a great time. There's also this really cool experience of your product getting better because of what someone else did. So the model gets better, and then it's like, wow, Deepline's really good. And you're like, you're welcome. Awesome, yeah. I can do 2 more questions. Yeah, in the back. Yeah, I don't think, yes, we've solved it. How we solve it kind of differs by the type of user that we're working with. So here, this is gonna run a quick example. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So it's kind of our demo workflow. And it's gonna go try to find, so what I did is Deepline Quick Start, and it's finding 5, let me make this bigger as well. 5 CTOs at New York startups with work emails and LinkedIn profiles. We pick the providers to use, but generally just standard enrichment. And what we do is we pop up a playground. So this is interesting because it's locally hosted. You can kind of see the 127. So this is actually running on your computer. Claude is really good at generating HTML for your particular use case. So we tested out this idea of like, all right, what if we just did disposable user interfaces for whatever problem you're solving in real time, and then spin that up, and it has all the relationships. Same thing, you can see kind of what's happening, how it's defined, the results that are getting pulled, the JSON behind it. But over time, what we're seeing is like, this works at a small scale, but now what if you need to do this for 10,000 rows? This will still work, but this interface, like the table interface doesn't really make sense for that anymore. So what's the next version of that? We are now doing like the cool part is we have that database already built out. So we can run queries on the database. We can run analytics of like, hey, how do we score the coverage of this task that's running in real time? And give you like summary metrics. Where should you pay attention? Is this working? Is this better? So yes, we're making a ton of effort on this. I think the 2 biggest pieces of feedback we've received from customers is visibility of how do I actually know what's happening. Claude Code and these coding agents do stuff. You come back 30 minutes later, and you're like, I don't know why you did that or what happened. And sometimes it's right, and you're like, this is magic. And sometimes it's wrong, and you're like, wow, I've never been more disappointed in you. And the takeaway is you kind of just need to know what's happening in the back end. And reliability and repeatability is the second piece of, okay, if I ask you to do a task and I'm happy with the output, I want you to do it like that next time also. And so skills are supposed to solve that, but we're actually seeing that you need to be more structured, and that's where we come into like plays and scripts to be like real code that Claude triggers instead of trying to guess what you want again. Yeah, Andres.
Then the command line might be the next thing that gets.
Yeah.
How do you think about that? I have no idea. I have no
Yeah.
bias towards that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're 100% right. So the question was like, how does this UI get disrupted? How does this version of what we're doing get disrupted? We're really focused on the primitives that we believe will not change over time. It's storing data, it's moving data between different systems. But I think we already have noticed that the interfaces are changing more quickly than we can keep up. So it's Claude Code, and now you want Slack, and you also want the same experience, and now you need this enterprise, and now it's chat. and okay, I just want to upload an image of what I need. And so it's already kind of shifting. And I think what we've noticed is there's basically companies at each bleeding edge that are doing. Profound's pretty far up there. Owner.com is actually the one that I see. And I don't think as many people know about them because they're a little bit smaller, and they're also in a market of restaurant tech that isn't quite as sexy. YG was here last time. They are generally like 6 months ahead of most teams that I've seen. So we kind of just look at what they're doing and like, all right, right now they're working on more programmatic interfaces. So they're actually getting rid of Claude as the primary thing, and they're building production systems similar to Modal. And this is like a Series C company doing it. And that's not their core function. That's not what they're really good at. But they believe in it so much and they see the ROI. So I think it's just going to continually be guessing, checking, seeing what's happening. But yeah, the interfaces are changing extremely quickly.
So follow Kyle on LinkedIn.
Yes, follow Kyle Norton on LinkedIn. I'm constantly blown away. Their tech team is extremely good. Yeah. YG Hong. Yeah. I'll send the notes after. The recording from last time is really good. So what he talked about was they built a ML model to predict who would answer the phone for cold calling, and he did it without actually knowing ML because he just threw a bunch of data at Claude Code and it worked. So yeah, that's also how they operate, and that's what we'll do now. Awesome. Anyone else? Otherwise, thank you guys again. We'll send out the recordings. Really appreciate all the speakers as well taking the time. If the speakers could come up and get a photo, that would be appreciated. Awesome, and we have the space till 9 p.m. So feel free to grab some more pizza. I think we had some more arrive, and then drinks. Let me know if you need anything. Would love to chat after